The New York Knicks are one of those teams that's usually rumored to get everybody and then leave with very little. Honestly, I feel bad for New York fans. When the decision went down and LeBron was ready to make his announcement, I thought for sure that LeBron was going to New York.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
I don't know what it was. I guess I had a hunch. Be it a bad one, it was a hunch nonetheless. My last video, I talked about Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors, freezing the NBA. Well, LeBron's decision was more of the same. Now, I'm not saying that I want the Knicks to be bad, but if they were good, we would have missed out on a lot of classic Stephen A. Smith rants. Unfortunately for New York fans, the Knicks are living proof that being in a big market doesn't automatically equate to success in the NBA, only making the playoffs once in the past 9 years. Now, I'll give it to New York. It's an awesome place with great culture. Though their last playoff run wasn't very long, it was lit.
It's Trae Young, valid? No!
Tell me a little something, KD. Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Their run really helped to launch Trae Young's villain arc, which he's played beautifully. When NY is good, they're fun. There's a reason that so many players love the atmosphere and the electricity that resonates throughout the Garden. The atmosphere and being in New York is a great ally, but it can only be as good of an ally as you let it. Somewhere along the line, you have to start putting things together. You have to have a vision, and all of this starts at the top. Guys, this video, we have a lot to discuss, but before we go any further, let's get a word from our sponsor. So I think for the most part, at some point in our lives, that most people liked cereal. As a kid, I absolutely loved cereal. What do you guys want from me? There was nothing better than starting my day with a big bowl of cereal and cartoons. Now, as I got older, I would start to become more health conscious, and this naturally would turn me against my love for cereal. In regular cereals, there's a lot of junk, a lot of sugar, and really just a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. This is where Magic Spoon would come in to save the day. Per serving, Magic Spoon offers 0 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 14 grams of protein. Not only is Magic Spoon high protein, but it's also keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free. Oh, and by the way, it's also incredibly delicious and comes in a bunch of different flavors. If you guys are interested in Magic Spoon, be sure to click the link in the description below to try out their variety pack. If you use promo code COOP at checkout or go to magicspoon.com/coop, you'll get $5 off any order. Guys, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that they're giving you a 100% happiness guarantee, meaning that if you don't like it for whatever reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Guys, be sure to show Magic Spoon some love. I want to give a major shout out to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. As we all know, this offseason, NY was able to net none other than Jalen Brunson. Some people hated the move, as Brunson would be paid $104 million over the course of 4 years. Me, on the other hand, I love the move. I mean, just listen to this guy talk about joining the New York Knicks.
I guess it starts with how humble my parents made me. They kept me well grounded. Nothing's too high, nothing's too low. But everywhere I've gone since high school has started for me, it's always been Jalen Brunson's good, but like, it's always that but. Like, they're going to say something negative about it. And I've always, whatever I've done, you hear that in the first couple of years, and all of a sudden it's like, Jalen's this, he's great, he does this and this. Then going to college, same thing, Jalen's good, but this and this and this, and then prove it wrong.
When they said but, what was the but about?
It was too slow, not athletic enough, too small, all those things that don't measure heart. And that's what I have.
When it comes to building the right culture, Brunson is somebody that you want in your locker room. All Brunson has done throughout his career is take advantage of his opportunities, and yet again in New York, he's presented with another great one. The New York Knicks signed Brunson because of what he will do. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that what he has done already is impressive in itself. You don't average 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and 16.3 points per game on 50% from the field at Brunson's height unless you have some serious game. Every year, this guy has gotten better. I honestly think he has the potential to outplay his contract if things break right for him in NY. While the Brunson move wasn't the flashiest move, as long as Brunson hoops at his current status quo, the Knicks stole an asset for free. Or for $104 million, but I'm going to say for free. Why? Well, because they quite literally didn't have to lose any very valuable assets to get him. And that has value in itself and is the beauty of unrestricted free agency. If I was a Mavs fan, Hardy and Christian would be making me feel a lot better, but Jalen Brunson would have not been somebody that I would have wanted to lose. Again, I really don't want to defend the Knicks too much because I'm a Pelicans fan, and I haven't forgotten how reckless some Knicks fans were talking when it came to the Zion Williamson stuff. I do think a lot of the Knicks' recent moves make sense when it comes to what this team wants to do, but there are some things that are just unexplainable to me. Like, why trade for Cam Reddish if you're not going to unleash him? He was only averaging like 17 minutes per game before his injury, which I know isn't the worst, but as a Cam fan, I just want to see more. Honestly, Cam might have not been the best example, but seriously, I really just wanted the Knicks to play their young talent more often. Did you guys see Obi's run to close the season? To think that they were already starting to call my guy a bust. In the comments below, let me know what you guys think of the direction that the Knicks are headed in. When you are building a team, there are a few approaches that you can take. For example, you can build slow with your focus on the future, or you can push your chips in and side with instant gratification. When the Knicks traded their 2022 first-round pick that became Ousmane Dieng, a very talented potential two-way point forward, who they booed, by the way.
The New York Knicks select Ousmane Dieng from Bordeaux, France.
Anyways, when they traded him, I thought that the Knicks had their sights set on the long game, channeling their inner OKC. The irony is that they traded with OKC on draft night. On draft night, NY acquired a 2023 protected Wizards first, a 2023 protected Pistons first, and a 2025 protected Bucks first. Instead of the long game, it turns out that the Knicks may have just had their sights set on gathering assets so that they could hit a home run via trade, which isn't necessarily the worst thing, but some of these reports really got me thinking. About 3 weeks ago, reports dropped that the Jazz and Knicks had begun talks surrounding Donovan Mitchell. I even saw some reports that stated that Mitchell to NY was inevitable. I also saw reports saying that the deal was done, only to have those same reports walked back. The irony of these talks is that Jalen Brunson had the Jazz's perimeter defense looking more down bad than usual in this year's playoffs. Brunson actually out-averaged Mitchell in that series, averaging 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on great efficiency. Now, of course, if you trade for Donovan Mitchell, you're not trading for him because you're enamored with his defense, though I think that he could buy in under the right coach. You're trading for Donovan Mitchell because he does things like this.
Hot in a hurry. Crossover, Mitchell into a rebound. Oh! He came in hot!
When it comes to a potential Mitchell trade, we have to ask ourselves, what does that asking price look like? About a week ago, Mark Stein reported that the Knicks are trying to do this only surrendering 4 or 5 firsts. Only surrendering 4 or 5 firsts. Honestly, that's not that bad for a talent like Donovan Mitchell. Wait, guys, am I tripping right now? Okay, let me try that again. I feel like 4 firsts is cool. I feel like anything above 5 is where things start to get out of hand. And while that may be the asking price, I'm just saying that that's a lot of first round picks. But again, depending on who's involved in the deal, I definitely understand 5. When Tony Jones was asked how many picks do you think it'll take to get a Mitchell trade done, he said, I think it takes at least 5. Mitchell is a star in the prime of their career. There's a chance that we haven't seen Mitchell's best basketball yet. When I say that, I think that I have to mention that the bubble would be pretty hard to top. But anyways, my point remains the same. Now we can sit here and we can blame the Rudy Gobert trade for Mitchell's high price, or we can recognize that a talent like Mitchell was always going to be hard to trade for, especially with Danny Ainge running the whole show. Though, of course, we can also admit that the Rudy Gobert trade really didn't freaking help. You guys remember Jesse Pinkman saying that he can't keep getting away with it, referencing Walter White. Well, that's kind of how I feel with Danny Ainge right now. If I was a GM and I got a message from a Danny Ainge that is in an asset acquiring mode, I'm taking it as disrespect. Here's where things get fun. The Jazz's high asking price for Mitchell has been a turnoff for NY, who, to quote Woj, doesn't want to give up everything to get him. When I first saw the news about Mitchell potentially going to NY, I thought for sure that RJ Barrett would be involved in any talks. Well, I was wrong. Though RJ Barrett has the upside of a star player, I guess his inefficiency might have been the turnoff that turned Utah away. The Jazz don't want to take RJ Barrett back in a deal because they don't want to pay him. They want to go young. Now, to get back to talking about the Jazz's potential return, at one point it was being reported that the Jazz were asking for essentially an unprecedented return. Reportedly, the Knicks can trade a maximum of 8 first-round picks outright. The Jazz want a majority of those picks. They also asked for pick swaps down the road. Finally, they also asked for some combination of youngsters: Quentin Grimes, who looks filthy, Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Miles McBride, and Cam Reddish. Grimes is perhaps the lead target among those players for Utah. The reports wouldn't stop there. Things like we'd see a historic pick haul started to get tossed around left and right. I love Donovan Mitchell, and the upside is there for sure. There's a chance that I'm overthinking this whole thing. If you get a bona fide star like Donovan Mitchell, perhaps you get other players to come to New York, especially if you're able to keep RJ Barrett and some of those other pieces. But I mean, a historic pick haul sounds brutal. How much do we think that Donovan Mitchell even fits in with this Knicks team? And what would their ceiling be? I can comfortably say that if the Knicks gave up everything for Mitch with no plan, that it'd be a terrifying mistake that could set the franchise back years. Now, reportedly, if the Knicks were to acquire Donovan Mitchell, then they would look into scenarios in which they could trade away Julius Randle. Randle is only a year removed from an all-star campaign. I like Randle, but he has a very unique game that seems predicated around having the ball. And though he was an all-star under Thibs, his schemes do him no favors other than enabling bad habits. When his shots aren't falling, the energy falls. When his energy falls, well, let's not go there. It would be interesting to see what the framework of a deal looks like for him, because he did have a down year, but the upside could still be there for the right team. Now, with everything going on with this Donovan Mitchell stuff, I want to know what you guys think of everything. Don't forget that Mitch is from New York, has a father that works for the Mets, and has a lot of love for the area. But does he even get the final say in this situation? The Knicks aren't alone in their interest. The Miami Heat are interested, and they've been overdue, and so are the Brooklyn Nets, who just so happen to be shopping one of the NBA's most devastating scorers. On Twitter, Mitchell recently said that he's been seeing a lot of fake news being reported, so who truly knows how this situation ends? Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop. Until our next upload.